Hello there, and welcome to everyone joining us for this latest IoT Central webinar. I'm Clive Maxfield. Everyone calls me Max, and I'll be your host. In addition to being a practicing engineer, I also act as a technology consultant, author, speaker, and educator. I'd like to start our webinar by thanking Telit for sponsoring today's event. Telit is a leading supporter of the IoT Central community, and we're very grateful to have them as sponsors. Today's webinar is entitled From Connected Factory to Connected Machine, How Industrial IoT Can Elevate Your Manufacturing Business Strategy. Before we begin, I'd like to briefly review the format of today's proceedings. This event is going to be 1 hour long. We have one guest who I'll introduce in just a moment, and this event is being recorded and will be available on iotcentral.io tomorrow. I'd also like to encourage you to provide questions throughout the presentation. I will be reviewing and presenting these questions on your behalf during the Q&A portion of the event. Now, I'm very pleased to be able to introduce today's speaker. Riccardo Buranello has over 16 years' experience in the technology and IoT industry. He originally held the position of Head of Business in Latin America and, in 2017, assumed the role of Global VP for Telit Factory Solutions, driving a significant growth for his business unit. Currently, Riccardo heads Telit's IoT platforms business unit, where he's engaged in the creation and implementation of Telit's IoT platform strategy, which enables some of the biggest companies in the world to deploy industrial IoT with advanced edge and cloud software solutions. So, thank you all for joining us today. And whenever you're ready, Riccardo, you can take it away.
Okay, so let's get started. Guys, thank you so much for your time. My name is Riccardo Buranello, and I'm the head of Telit IoT platforms. First, a very quick overview in terms of who Telit is. Telit is a global company, and the only thing that we do is IoT. We currently connect more than 40 million machines per year, new machines, with our technologies. Our platform and software division is a consequence of an acquisition when, in 2013, we acquired a spin-off of IBM Automation Group, a company called ILS Technology, and then we bring this product portfolio under the Telit umbrella in order to ensure the industrial IoT connectivity with our platforms called SecureWise, that is a cybersecurity platform extremely popular in the semiconductors space, where today basically 100% of the 300 millimeters fabs in the world, they use our technology. That means that probably doesn't exist a single cell phone, computer, tablet, television that is built without using a certain level of our platform and technology today. And DeviceWise, that is a platform that I would like to talk a little bit more here on this webinar. Today, DeviceWise is used by 7 out of the 10 largest car makers in the world. Not only car makers, but also tier 1 automotive companies, where we have 10 out of the 20 largest tier 1 automotive companies using our technology. But we're not only in auto, even though I love the industry. And I love it because of the level of automation that you see there, the complexity of the processes, and how evolved they are in terms of technology deployed on the shop floor. But we also have our technology deployed in food and beverage companies like Coca-Cola or Hershey's, pharmaceutical companies like GlaxoSmithKline, Allergan, and Abbott Labs, oil and gas companies, heavy machinery, chemicals, and much more. I think that IoT is a reality independently on the type of industry that we plan to deploy it. And how does your factory look like? I'd like to make a joke that I say when I enter in a project, all the factories, they look more or less like this. This is certainly not a very modern factory, but a normal factory, right? You see a couple of devices here. And then we have a complete transformation when we deploy IoT, and they look just like that. What this makes this factory like an IoT factory is not the Rockwell controller over there, not the Siemens PLC over here, not the 840D Siemens CNCs that I can see over there, not the AGV moving parts around, not the FANUC robot here on my right-hand side, not the sensors and cameras monitoring the safety and the performance of the people that you have on the shop floor. Also not about the different types of IT components from your ERP systems, your databases, your MES, your SCADAs, and your cloud solutions. But what makes this factory a real IoT factory is your ability of interconnecting all the different hardwares with all the different types of IT systems with an intelligent layer of connectivity. It's important for you to think in terms of the development of IoT, because even though there are many new machines and systems being invented as we speak, the brownfield is a reality in any factory, in any segment that you will see. Every time that you are in a major industrial IoT project, you will have to coexist between new machines, machines that were bought this year, last year, during the last 5 years, or even old machines, 20, 30, 40 years old machines that just refuses to break, and they are still in use by these factories. And if you want to deploy a successful industrial IoT project, you need to have a good consideration and a strategy in terms of how do you approach these legacy machines. And I think because of this vision that we have of being this inclusive platform that can make the bridge between any type of hardware to any type of software, we have been awarded as a leader in this segment. I like the award that they position Telit as the Industrial Product of the Year by Industrial IoT magazine. And I love the way that ABI Research classifies Telit as a leader in smart manufacturing platforms. Using ABI Research words, they say, compared to Kepler, DeviceWise has the advantage in lower latencies. Compared to Foghorn Systems, DeviceWise has the more advanced IoT integration capabilities. Compared to homegrown data extraction and edge intelligence solutions provided by industrial automation companies, DeviceWise has more flexibility and more advanced software. When I look on a market analysis in terms of where IoT is, IoT can be deployed in the most diverse types of applications that you can imagine, from industrial, that is what we live and breathe, to medical devices, to home appliances, even your connected smart dog collar that will monitor where your dog is and what is the health of your dog. And then you might ask, if IoT can be deployed in so many different fields, why your obsession about industrial? And I would say that I see the value in all these different spaces. And during my previous jobs that I had here in Telit, during the last 13 years of Telit, I really had the pleasure to work in all these different projects, from industrial to consumer oriented. But what I really see is that the money really is on industrial. The economic impact of what you can deploy is really on industrial. And we see that our customers, they can save between 5 and 40% on cost reduction by applying this technology. And it's really impressive in terms of how many millions of dollars that means, how much it means for the planet in terms of having a more sophisticated and efficient manufacturing process, reducing, for example, the carbon emissions on this space, and also providing to these companies a competitive advantage in terms of survive through this next wave of competition. When I look at the industrial, I say adopting industrial IoT is not a matter of if you want or not to adopt, is if you will or not survive in this competition by using the most of your technology. And in order to support our customers, most of the largest companies in the world that are using DeviceWise and teletechnologies today, the way that we do it is by developing a state-of-the-art software. This software called DeviceWise is a software that started being developed by IBM about 20 years ago, and we kept investing technology, resources on getting it better and better. DeviceWise is a software. This software, it can basically be installed in any type of OS. It runs on Windows, it runs on Linux, it runs on big mainframes such as IBM AIX platforms, or a small Raspberry Pi, or even cellular gateways. When you install this software, DeviceWise comes with hundreds of drivers. And I think this is the first benefit of this platform approach for industrial IoT. Of course, that we have all the open protocols such as OPC UA, OPC-DA, BACnet, Modbus, MT-Connect, and more, but we also have all the native drivers. So when we are talking to a Siemens controller, we are using, for example, S5 or S7 protocol. When we are talking to a Rockwell controller, we are talking a Rockwell protocol. When we are talking to a Fanuc robot, we use the Fanuc driver. So it guarantees to us a much better performance. Our driver is written bare to the metal in NCC in order to guarantee real-time data collection and data federation with these devices. It guarantees a much wider availability of data, so you can, with more data, do better data analytics and take better decisions. When the data reaches the core of DeviceWise, you can take decisions in DeviceWise without writing a single line of code. So you can transform this data, for example, calculating KPIs, parsing this data, and integrating this to the internal database or external IT systems, such as databases, ERP, MES solutions, any IT systems that the company can have, so we can guarantee this bidirectional communication between devices and IT systems. One of the things that we see more and more is the usage of cloud solutions by the industry. And we have also bidirectional communication with Amazon AWS, Microsoft Azure, Google Cloud Platform, IBM Watson, Siemens MindSphere, and so many others. So now the data can flow from your machines, combine this data on the edge with IT data, and then send this information in a bidirectional way with cloud solutions. So we can feed this data, read results of algorithms running on data analytics solutions in the cloud, and apply real-time changes to the machines and the IT systems. Not only this, we can collect data from external sensors, cameras for external instrumentation. We co-developed with IBM a solution that uses cameras for you to read image analytics and be processed inside the system. And we have DeviceWise View. DeviceWise View is a great addition to DeviceWise. That's a relatively new product that we have a little bit more than a year, and it has been very successful in the industry. It is a fully SCADA and HMI system integrated with our IIoT platform. So with DeviceWise View, the way that I simplify my explanation is think DeviceWise View as a PowerPoint for machines that you can just drag and drop blocks of logic. And now you can have real-time and historical data coming to this platform. Now, instead of writing hundreds of thousands of lines of code, doing everything custom code, you can have a full integration between machines, systems, cloud, and visualization in a complete IoT solutions. And this is the way that we are supporting our factory customers, companies like Ford, Coke, and Hershey's, in terms of having this complete integration on their shop floor. But another market that we also see lots of potential is the connected machines. On the connected machines, typically our customers are not manufacturing companies, but machine builders. Companies that are building plastic injection machines, CNC machines, packaging machines. And then their objective is how they can collect data remotely from these machines that are spread all around the world, how they can apply calculations in terms of maintenance and KPIs and OE, how they can sell machines as a service, how they can provide remote monitoring. And by loading device-wise in cellular gateways, they have this full bidirectional remote, secure remote data collection from these machines. So they can implement these programs with a solution that is basically out of the box. With device-wise cloud, they can have a digital twin monitoring all these machines and adding logic in the cloud for this full integration of our technology. And who are our competitors today? Telit has been very successful in this industry, and 2021 will be by far our best year. And I would say that the reason for that is our ability of bringing a common ground in terms of all the different machines and all the different IT systems. We can standardize this by creating this transparent layer of communication between all the different machine vendors and all the different IT vendors, making them to work together. Our clonability, our ability of creating standards in terms of systems and then clone it line by line, factory by factory, makes this extremely cost effective. And the biggest cost effectiveness comes from this full integration between edge and cloud, where we can provide all the different functionalities needed for you to deploy an industrial IoT project from the edge to the cloud, including data collection, edge logic, IoT integration, visualization and SCADA, cloud connectors, remote access, and device management. But if companies are not using device-wise, how they can deploy one industrial IoT project? Certainly they can. On the data collection, for example, there are a few platforms out there that they can use in terms of doing data collection like Capper, even though device-wise is much more effective than Capper in terms of being an ultra low latency solution. Yes, they have some drivers, and that's it. And now, if you want, for example, to monitor a certain tag and take a decision, if my temperature is above this threshold, then do something, you need to hire a software engineer to do this, or you need to integrate by creating a layer of custom code, platforms like Capper and Node-RED. And then somebody has the idea, why don't we interface with our ERP system or with our MES system? And now complexity starts to grow. Now you need to create more custom code to interface with more systems. Probably at this point, you already have 1 year or more of a project, 5, 6, 7 software engineers working on this. And then a manager has an idea. Why don't we have a digital twin? Why don't we have a visualization dashboard that allows me to see what is the performance of my line? That's a great idea. And you can go ahead and buy platforms like Ignition, Factory Talk, Wonderware, Aviva. They cost a lot. And it demands customization for you to have this integrated to your platform. And then your CTO say, now we're going to do our data lake in AWS. Good luck with that. Probably at this point, you already have 20 people working on your projects and creating software and trying to debug all the bugs that comes with that to have your cloud connectors. And somebody say, I should be able to remotely access my devices that are remote, and then I need to buy remote access gateways like E1 or Sycomia. And now for me to integrate all these, I need to have more custom code, more bugs, more time, more people, more millions of dollars is spent without even talking about the device management and your ability of monitoring all these remote devices. Basically, with DeviceWise, with one single platform, we can provide the full functionalities in a no-code, low-code environment while reducing all this Frankenstein of softwares that you need if you're not using an integrated platform like this. When I look at this slide here, this even reminds me a lot where I started my career. I started my career in the ERP industry. And 20 years ago, the ERP industry was so different than it is today. Today, if you're entering the ERP industry, basically what you have is, okay, who has the best ERP? Is it SAP? Is it Oracle? Who's there and what are the features? 20 years ago was these companies going to the market and convincing customers that they shouldn't create a custom code ERP system. How many of you, if you were launching a new ERP in your company, is thinking about developing in-house your ERP? So why developing in-house the foundational platform that you need for IoT? This doesn't make sense. I think the advent of these IoT platforms is a sign of maturity of this market. This is why these platforms are growing so much. This became a huge market, and this is the most cost-effective way for companies to go after these solutions. Take what is working, developed on the state of the art, and focus on what really brings economic advantages. That is what increases productivity, how to reduce your costs of operation, and how to launch more creative products to the market. We can provide full IoT solutions out of the box with DeviceWise. We have partnership with the major gateway companies. Here in this example, we use the Lenovo, and we have a strong partnership with Lenovo. In my conversations with some of the Lenovo leaders, I was telling them how I feel about this type of partnership. And it's very similar to what I imagine Bill Gates 31, 32 years ago. By the way, here in the same city that I am now, I am based in Boca Raton. And more than 30 years ago, Bill Gates, a kid at that time, came here to Florida to talk to IBM. And his vision was the PC industry is a niche market. It's only for geeks if you don't have an application out of the box for these devices. Today, if you go for a vanilla IoT gateway, it will not do anything until you really create your applications. When you can have device-wise running gateways like that, it's like putting a Windows to run on your machine. You can have all the systems ready for you to create and to bring value, such as our data collection with the drivers, our edge logic for triggers, alarms, math, and parsing, our IT connectors, our cellular connectivity, the digital twin and secure remote access in the cloud, our cloud connectors for Azure, AWS, Google Cloud, and more, and our full visualization applications with HMIs and Dash Builder with DeviceWise View. DeviceWise can provide bidirectional communication, not only between machines and systems, but between systems and systems. If you think in terms of the Purdue module, DeviceWise can fully integrate all the different levels of systems that you have, providing a complete integration of the systems in a no-code environment. DeviceWise comes with three layers of, three pillars, I would say. It always starts with our device access layer, where DeviceWise has an extensive list of drivers for you to collect all your data. On our edge logic, that you can create rules in terms of how you will process this data that is flowing through the system, and your IT layer that provides you data visualization and full integration in a bidirectional way with all the different IT systems. So here, if you allow me, not only I would like to talk over a PowerPoint, but eventually I can very quick open the product and show you how it works. So if you want to connect a machine, let's pick your machine. At this point, let me jump here to device-wise workbench. So you can see here, this is the interface of the workbench. When you are opening the workbench, you can simply come to devices, click new, and come and pick one of the machines, one of the drivers that you downloaded to your node. Here are just a few examples of drivers that I downloaded to my node for the sake of a demo. I have an Atlas Copco driver for torque tools, light PLCs from Backoff, the Bosch Rexroth PLCs, all the Fanuc CNCs and robots, all the different Mitsubishi robots, all open protocols such as Modbus, OPC-UA, OPC-DA, MT Connect, Omron, PeerLink for a mesh network between nodes, all your Rockwell controllers, Siemens controllers, and so on and so forth. So if you want to collect data from a new tool, basically select your driver, appoint your IP address, validate and save, and now you have all the tag trees auto-enumerated from your devices without the need of writing a single line of code. Now that I have access to these data that is flowing through my system, I can come here and create a logic. And the way that I create a logic is without writing a single line of code, I can simply drag and drop blocks of logics for me to define what I will do with the data when this data comes. So the way that I will write my logic is I can define when this will start. I can define that this will start at the moment that I have a change in a certain variable. Or I can say based on a listener if I receive this specific data. Or for example, based on a schedule that I will say run this every second or every millisecond. Or maybe let's create a report every Sunday, 8 o'clock in the morning, I will run this specific logic. If I want to add math, for example, it is very simple to, and very similar to the way that I create a function in Excel, a formula in Excel. I can say, for example, A plus B. I just define here what is A, what is B, and now I have device-wise doing my calculation. And of course, I can do much more sophisticated functions using endless types of statistical functions ready here on the system. I can push this data to my local database, or I can send this information to external databases. Device-wise comes with IT connectors for relational and non-relational databases and different types of IT systems. And we also can connect to all the endless types of cloud connectors that we have here. Not only this, but I can create dashboards here without writing a single line of code using device-wise view. So what I can do here in front of you is let's play a little bit with some dashboards. I can create one specific application using device-wise view. And as I said, it's just like using a PowerPoint. Just using my mouse, I can select the widget I want. I can appoint to a certain device. I can appoint to a certain variable. And now I have my data coming here in real time. I can say that this, for example, are my good parts produced. I appointed to my variable on my controller, and the data is coming in real time. I can select other types of widgets, such as different charts, where to populate these charts, it's also the same way that I do. I just appoint to my variable, And now I have a historical data coming here live to my system. Not only this, but I can trigger other types of actions. So for example, I can create buttons and say call maintenance, or I can say turn off my machine. And now the operator that can simply come here and push one button, it can take decisions on the shop floor. I can use, for example, barcode readers that can use my camera or the camera of the device in order to guarantee a specific data collection from these devices. So creating a full application on the back end and in the front end, it doesn't require necessarily any code for you in this word. So you could see how fast it was for me to create an application here in front of you. Coming back to my presentation. So we talked about how we do in DeviceWise to collect data, how we do to write triggers without coding, just by creating logic here. We talked about how we interconnect bidirectionally with ERP, MES, and SCADA with all the security, optional cloud connectivity, everything as a full integration between IT and systems, how DeviceWise View can be used for on-prem data visualization with drag and drop charts and widgets, OE and other KPIs calculation, everything real time, running on HTML pub sub. So this is responsive and can run in any type of browser, as well as having all the data going to the DeviceWise cloud that we provide out of the box digital twins, possibilities for alarms and alerts, cloud triggers to combine and consolidate data in the cloud, secure remote access, including layer 2 tunneling VPN, full security capabilities such as data encryption, role-based security, multi-factor authentication, auditability and traceability, all your device management and all your connectivity management. So what can you do with this technology? I would say that the applications are endless. You can do full integration machine to machine. I can make a CNC talk to a robot, talk to an AGV, and when this part is ready, the robot can pick this part, put in the AGV, and use DeviceWise to be the orchestrator of all these machines as a full automation tool. As my machines now are connected, I can implement a preventive and predictive maintenance without writing code. I can just say, calculate how many cycles of operation this machine went through, and I'll open a ticket, maybe in IBM Maximo or SAP PM for a ticketing system. Or monitor my consumption, vibration, temperature, and if my process is deviating from the optimal, then take a certain action. I can have zero defect implemented with cameras, sensors, and full control on the quality of the parts. I can have all my visualizations such as OEE. I can have my complete integration between IT and OT, and I can have artificial intelligence platforms fully connected here with your machines, providing the next step of data analytics. It will all depend on your creativity. It will all depend on your business needs. What I have to say is don't reinvent the wheel. Take the platform and jump into the solutions. This is what will really bring return on investments for customers. We are entering here on the very last few minutes of my presentation that I will talk about some use cases. But before that, remember that if you have any question, please feel free to submit here through the chat. We also put some brochures that you can just download that talks a little bit more about the platform. And myself and the whole Talent team will also be very happy to talk to you after the webinar here if you have any specific need. So let's jump into some specific use cases. Honda is a public use case. If you go to this link that I put over here, you can find some Honda testimonials in terms of how they generated significant ROI by deploying IoT technology using DeviceWise. The way that we have DeviceWise running is connecting all the different hardware devices that they have on the shop floor, from the PLCs to the CNCs, conveyor belts, HMIs, robotic cells, torque tools, everything deployed on a multi-installation platform where you can have a mesh network of nodes guaranteeing a distribution of the loads, all the productivity tracking, the traceability, the quality control, uh, and the machine-to-machine integration, as well as all the integration with messaging systems, databases, and the MES solution. One single platform, doesn't matter what are the hardware that the end customer has and what are the IT systems, providing this full integration between machine and IT systems, ensuring more productivity, lower latency, and more quality at the end of the day. When compared to other platforms, specifically OPC-based platforms, DeviceWise is by far the most efficient system that exists in the market. Here's one example of the worst case scenario in terms of the data collection, where we perform 7 times faster than the leader in OPC servers. And if done unsolicited message, this number goes even faster to, for example, up to 0.04 milliseconds per message delivered. Here's another use case that I like a lot because how visual it is in terms of the potential benefits of IoT. I had the pleasure to be in this factory here. This is the largest electronic producer in the world, where they deploy DeviceWise to collect the data from their production lines with all the different types of controllers. With DeviceWise View, we could create a digital twin so you can have a visualization in terms of how things are performing, the comparisons between good and bad parts, the calculation of your yields, your throughput analysis, your quality, everything in a control room like this, or in the hands with the cell phone of managers or tablets in front of the machines. Imagine in a scenario like this, how manufacturing people can take much faster actions in terms of improving their performance. And I swear this is my last example. On my last example, I talk about this very large packaging company machine that they deploy DeviceWise in cellular gateways, providing full connectivity of their machines, pushing this data to the cloud, providing a digital twin and device management in the cloud, visualization for the screens, and a full integration of machines to mobile systems. So now companies like WestRock, they can go to the market and they can sell machines as a service and better machines because they are IoT ready machines built with all the security and in the state of the art. Guys, thank you so much for your time. I hope that was informative, and I'll be very happy to go through any question that you have now.
Well, thank you, Ricardo. That was very interesting indeed. I'm amazed by how fast things are changing in the industrial IoT area. Now it's time for our Q&A session, but first I'd like to repeat what Ricardo said, that we have 2 handouts that you can access from the webinar control panel. I've seen some excellent questions coming in from the audience throughout the presentation, and as Ricardo said again, I encourage everyone who's got any more questions to keep on adding them to the list. So number 1, Ricardo, is DeviceWise View a full SCADA system?
Great question, Max. Yes, it is, but different from other SCADA systems that exist in the market. DeviceWise View has a more practical approach for the needs of industrial, where you can start very small with one single HMI and then grow to a full SCADA, coming with the whole IoT connectivity provided by DeviceWise. So with DeviceWise View, you can just drag and drop the widgets, appoint to your variables, and have your full visualization. Or if companies, they already use other types of SCADA systems, also device-wise, can integrate with them, making them better by providing real-time machine data to full SCADA systems.
Cool. Okay. This one potentially could be open-ended. What are the use cases for device-wise for automotive factories and food and beverage factories? And are these use cases on-premise or cloud-based?
Great. As I said at the beginning of my presentation, I love automotive. I have no idea how many times I have been to an automotive plant. I probably should buy a house in Detroit. How many projects we have over there? Yes, all our automotive projects, they are on premises. So device-wise is installed inside the factories, behind the firewalls, typically does all the machine data collection. The applications are endless, from machine to machine integration. So for example, if I have a production line and my first line has a Siemens PLC, my second line has a Rockwell PLC, and now I need to know what is the VIN number that I am producing. I need to send the data from the first PLC to my second PLC. Device-wise can do a protocol translation in real time, making a Siemens talking to a Rockwell, and talking to a Mitsubishi and a Monroe and torque tools and robots, making this full integration. But not only this, providing all the integration with IT systems for quality control, OEE, performance improvement, track and trace, a very important use case in automotive. And food and beverage, the same. In food and beverage is another very large industry for us, where being very different from automotive, that is not food and bev, is a process, not the discrete manufacturing, but they need to know what is the quality of the products that they are producing in real time, how efficiently the processes are going to predict possible failures of the process and the machines in terms of making better decisions. And this is how we are helping our customers, both in automotive and food and bev and in other verticals as well.
Okay. Another question here. Do I need to have an OPC server, or is device-wise a complete end-to-end solution?
You definitely don't need to have an OPC server with DeviceWise. DeviceWise fully replaces the necessity of having another server, another OPC platform, because DeviceWise can collect data in real time using native drivers, not only OPC drivers, but native drivers from all the machines. And if you have systems that you want to integrate with, that they have OPC interfaces, we can translate to OPC. So in fact, DeviceWise has OPC client and OPC servers functionalities itself. So it fully replaces this necessity of having these middlewares, because DeviceWise can provide this full vertical integration of the systems.
Okay. We've had a few questions relating to MQTT. One is, what is your support for MQTT? And another one is, how does DeviceWise interact with MQTT protocol-based applications? And also, would we need to install an MQTT client if DeviceWise is already installed?
Great questions. The same answer that I gave regarding the OPC applies for the MQTT. DeviceWise can fully integrate to systems and devices communicating through MQTT protocol. We can provide this complete MQTT integration. We can act as the broker for MQTT. So no, just like OPC, you don't need to have any extra layer of software for you to communicate using MQTT.
Awesome. I think you answered this in the presentation, but just to make sure, can I implement the application all on premise, or does the data need to go through the cloud at some stage?
You can definitely have everything only on premise. You can have everything in the cloud, or you can have everything on a hybrid scenario. It will depend on your necessity, on your vision in terms of the architecture. the software adapts to both circumstances. Of course, the DeviceWise is a software that was built as an edge software to be close to the action, close to the machines, guaranteeing real-time data collection and decision making with the machines on the edge. And then we can have this full integration with the cloud systems. With the DeviceWise Cloud, that is an application of Telit that runs in the cloud for a digital twin, remote access, and cloud consolidations between multiple sites and machines, as well as open cloud platforms. But you also can run everything on-prem. And I would say that today, most of our customers, they run only on-prem.
Okay. Okay, we've got someone here who slipped in 3 questions, and he started off by saying a 3-fold question. A, what are the features one can add with the codeless HMI, human-machine interface? B, is it really robust, and can it prevent user error? And C, what open source tools leverage DeviceWise View?
Can you just repeat the last one?
What open source tools leverage DeviceWise View?
Okay, so let's start with the HMIs. With the DeviceWise View is a full HMI system for you to create your HMIs and for you to display them and operate them. So it will really depend on how creative you will be on how you will create that. You can take the real-time machine data, you can combine this with historical data. And I love, let me answer this based on customer examples. I have one customer that is one of the largest automotive tier 1 companies in the world. And one of their objectives was the operator of the CNCs, they need to have process data to know how the process is running. Not only this, they need to have the ability of communicating to the system with an agile platform. And they use DeviceWise, running in ruggedized tablets in front of each machine. Now the operator can program the CNC using just DeviceWise View. They can see the OEE and the performance of this machine. Is my cutting time in line with the expectations or not? If I forgot, for example, what is the process, you can add instructions on DeviceWise View, such as simple YouTube links. How do I do this? I push one button. I have now that specific video that was displayed in this specific area here, showing the worker instructions of what they need to do. And what should I do now that my line is down and I have no idea what to do? I can go to the instruction, or I can push another button and say call for maintenance. Or if I am starving because of the lack of raw materials, I can push one button and classify the lack of raw materials immediately through BAPIs, open a ticket in SAP for your supply chain and having this full integration. So this is what you can do with the DeviceWise View. So it's endless. You know, you really can create many different solutions, and it's beautiful that you don't necessarily need to code. On the other hand, you still have scripting possibilities for you to add specific custom created widgets if you want to, so it can have this full application. I really invite you to go ahead and to try. By the way, not only DeviceWise, but DeviceWise View, we have a free trial license that if you're interested, just go ahead, download a license and start playing with that. Enter in contact with our business executives, and they will provide you the full support on that as well.
Awesome. Okay, here someone says, if we already have an existing edge industrial router connecting industrial sensors and PLCs, how can we integrate DeviceWise? Also, is it mandatory that the hardware inside our edge router be from Telit? What is the added value from DeviceWise?
Fantastic question. No, DeviceWise, of course, works great with the hardware produced by Telit. That, by the way, is only components, cellular and non-cellular modules, so chips. But the chips doesn't need to be from Talit. The chips don't need to be from Talit. It's completely agnostic, and it runs in any type of router like this. And yes, you can integrate device-wise with these routers and using device-wise to create the complex interaction, orchestration of all the different machines and data that you're collecting from these devices. So don't think device-wise only how you collect the data from the machines, but how you really create your applications. I'm sorry, in terms of what you want to achieve.
Okay, here's somebody who's possibly a bit of an entrepreneur. If I create an application with device-wise connected machine, can I sell that application to small to medium companies as a complete IoT solution?
Loved your question. Absolutely. And we have many partners doing this today. You can embed device-wise to your application, to hardware, and go to market by providing this as a service. We have huge companies like Mitsubishi that uses device-wise in a Mitsubishi product called MESIT, that is device-wise under the hood. We have partners like Beat Automation that use device-wise, and on top of device-wise, they created applications, a beautiful application called Envision, and they sell device-wise as an application, providing this to their customers. We have a strong partnership with system integration companies that put device-wise in cellular gateways, and they are going to every single machine builder in the world saying, here it is, one black box, and it has everything. It has the gateway, it has the edge software for the machine data collection, it has the digital twin in the cloud, it has the remote access. So you can come with a solution like that and address specific markets. I think you will be very successful if you move forward in this direction.
Okay. If I have an old machine that I don't have a driver for, how do I integrate this with device-wise?
Okay, there are a couple of ways that you can do this. Open protocols, OPC, Modbus, MT-Connect is always one possibility. It's very simple for you also to create your own driver with the tools that we provide there. But we also have a very unique product called Smart IO that is a hardware adapter that converts electrical and digital signals from machines inside device-wise. So imagine that you have, I don't know, 40 years old machine, and the only thing that you have to collect data from this machine are the IOs for you to put on the stack pole, and eventually using a transducer to calculate how much energy is going through that machine. Maybe only with this information I can say good parts, bad parts, if the machine is working or not, and calculate an OEE only with a simple hardware adapter called Smart IO that we provide for customers as an option.
Okay. Here's somebody saying, I'm curious to know how much of the IIoT market is using wireless connectivity, and how does device-wise work with these?
Well, it's important for me to understand what you mean by wireless connectivity. If you're talking about Wi-Fi on an industrial environment, or if you're talking in terms of a cellular connectivity, even though device-wise is fully compliant for private 5G on the shop floor, for Wi-Fi used on the shop floor, or for cellular applications. Talking about the latter, that I imagine this is the source of your question. I see a lot, and we sell thousands and thousands of device-wise licenses integrated in cellular gateways. And this is a great solution for machine builders, where these machines are remote and they need to control the access, and having a cellular technology is certainly a great solution in the industry.
Maybe afterwards, this audience member can get in touch with you. I will be providing some contact details, and you can engage in a conversation on that one. We are getting very close to the end, so I think we've got time for one more question. And I think this is one you're going to like. How is DeviceWise licensed and priced?
Okay. Very direct question. I love it. Device, it's a very flexible platform, and also in terms of pricing. You can buy perpetual license and pay just one-time fee. You can buy a subscription and pay by month. You can start incredibly small with just a few machines connected and grow to deployments like we have with the large automotive companies that they have thousands and thousands of machines per factory. So it provides you this scalability. For you to have an idea, if you're buying the license for the full project for up to 20 tools, the price is below $10,000. And then we'll just scale as you grow, as you have more machines. We don't charge extra per driver. We don't charge extra per feature. We don't charge extra per tags. It's all included, and you just size your license based on the number of machines that you have connected.
Okay, awesome. Well, as I said before, if you look at the screen, Ricardo's email address is there, so you can contact him directly. I'd like to thank everyone in the audience for the questions and to Ricardo for his insights. As a reminder, this recording will be available for on-demand viewing starting tomorrow, where it will be found on IoT Central at iotcentral.io. And this brings today's webinar to a close. So I'd like to thank everyone for attending and for your thoughtful questions. Special thanks to Telit for their sponsorship, and especially to Ricardo for his insightful presentation. Once again, this is Clive Max Maxfield. I'm very pleased to have been your host for today's event. I look forward to seeing you all again in the next IoT Central webinar. And until then, from all of us here at IoT Central and at Telit, we hope you have a wonderful rest of your day.
Thank you so much, Max, and thank you so much, IoT Central, for having me here. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Ricardo.